Hey, I'm Jesse, and I am between classes. More and more these days, actors are being asked to submit their own audition tapes for auditions rather than actually coming into a location and auditioning live in person. Well, that's going to bring up a couple of different issues. One, maybe you need some coaching with the acting. But two, maybe you don't know anything about working a camera or filming something. So what I'm going to try to do is show you just some of the basics about how to do a self-tape audition. Now, number one, you got to pick a decent location, right? So don't be coming outside where there's distractions and sounds and trees and stuff like that, right? You're going to want to find yourself a nice indoor location where you can control things like lighting and sound and the environment and things of that nature. Now, what about camera? Do you need a nice big fancy camera with special lenses and all that stuff? No, you can just use the camera on your phone. You need to know that the selfie camera isn't going to be quite as good as the front-facing camera. And also, you don't want to just sit here and hold it and have it be all shaky and handheld, okay? Find a nice place to set it. But also bear in mind that if you do have a nicer camera, you may want to consider using it. Because every element of your self-tape audition that looks professional, sounds professional, and gives off that nice polish is going to help with the overall impression that your video gives. So if you've got a nicer camera, go ahead and use that, okay? This is fine. This is better.
All right, next thing I want to talk about is sound quality. So mostly what you're going to be doing is using just the recording device that's built right into your camera, which is fine. Is it great? No, but it's fine. So right now I'm recording on my laptop, and I'm using the microphone that's built into that. Okay, not the best. Well, what else could I do? I could also try to use a sound source that's closer to my face, like the microphone, where is it? On my earbuds. So it's totally acceptable to plug in and do something like that if that's going to get the sound source actually closer to my face. Now, another thing I could do is record the sound on a separate device, like my cell phone, okay?
So here I'm recording, and here I'm recording. But I could use this video and this audio. And all I'd have to do is place the camera or the phone closer to me. Just somewhere that's nice and sort of out of the way. I can give my audition and do all this thoroughly, and then that's good to go. Now, the other thing I could do is I could use a really nice microphone, okay? And if I switch over the audio source to that, now I don't have to worry about these. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I can sync this sound up to the picture from this, and I'll be in great shape. Now, as you can tell, the sound is much, much better, much cleaner. I'm getting a much better recording. It's not going to make me a better actor, but it's going to leave a nicer impression. It's going to feel like I'm more professional, like I have my stuff together, right? If you get a nicer recording device, there's a couple of things that you can do to help with the overall audio quality of what you're shooting, okay? Number one, turn off your refrigerator or wait until it's like not running. Too loud! That sound of that compressor running can be really awful and distracting. Number two, turn off the air conditioner. Too loud! Because with that thing running, you get this real weird hum in the background, and you want to eliminate that as much as possible. And also, if you have pets like dogs or cats or anything that might make noise in the background, some people own parrots for some reason, go ahead and find yourself in a room where you are not going to be distracted by those things, okay? Next, we're going to need to talk about lighting, because this is disgusting. The biggest mistake that most people do is they don't do any sort of lighting whatsoever. The second biggest mistake they'll do is they'll do something that they're trying to do a good job with, and they do a bad job with it. So, I'm going to help you try to figure some of that out. Right now, in this shot, I basically have done 0% lighting whatsoever. So I just turned on the light that was in my room and let it go from there. You might be saying, well, gosh, I don't have any professional lighting equipment. I understand, but you do have some things that literally everybody has access to. So if you're shooting your thing during the day, you have the giant ball of fire in the sky known as the sun, and you can use that to light your shot. But you want to make sure you're doing it correctly, okay? Because you don't want to have it set up where the daylight is behind you, because then you just sort of become a silhouette, right? And you become like this,
Listen, I have no idea what happened with the morning, and I've had to go into hiding to protect my family.
So instead, turn yourself and have yourself situated so that the daylight is in front of you, okay? So now that's hitting me in the face. Now it's coming in pretty hot, which isn't horrific, right? But I can do a couple of things to help that. So I can drop in my sheer curtains, which already feels a lot better. Now, if you don't have nice sheer curtains, you can just use a white bed sheet or a white shower curtain, or heck, I've even used white garbage bags, right? And then you can use the blinds
which most places have, to dial in how bright and how dark the light can be. Or darken the light as needed so that my shot looks exactly the way I want it to look. Maybe it's nighttime, you have a day job, you can't do this during the day, you can't use the giant ball of fire in the sky. Okay, so next thing that people will probably try to use lamps or stuff around their house, which again can work okay. But sometimes the lighting can be just not quite full enough, right? So right now on this nicer camera, it looks okay. I'm getting this sort of decent side light from this table side lamp that I have here. But then when I cut down to this source, do you see how it's all like pixely and fuzzy and sort of grainy? There's just not enough light coming through. Plus I'm also fighting against the windows and other things of that nature, get different color temps. So that's going to become problematic. What you're going to definitely want to make sure you do is have enough lighting so that whatever camera source you're working with looks good. Now, if you're going to be auditioning a lot and doing enough self-tape auditions, it may not be a bad idea to just go ahead and invest in some professional lighting equipment. So let me help you learn how to get a professional sort of lighting setup. So the first thing that you're going to want to think about is the primary light that hits your face. That's called the key light, right? And that should be from in front of you and should be kind of a softer, more diffuse light, something like this. Great. Now we want to fill in this side of our face a little bit with what's called fill light, right? So when the key, or the key light, the primary, the one that's most important is on, then you need something in to fill in a little bit of those shadows, like this. It's not a lot, but it's something that sort of just helps fill in that frame. Now the last thing that's going to really help in your lighting is what's called the rim light, or the backlight. And it's going to look something like this. That helps separate me from my background and gives me a little more dimension. This is sort of the thing that's missing that gives something that sort of cinematic or professional look. Now, speaking of my background, you want to make sure that what's behind you is appropriate, right? What I have is I have this little bar counter back there, and I put some nice framed photos up and things like that, but I'm still going to want to curate it just a little bit to make it look super nice. Remember this shot? Look at these boards, right? What the heck are those doing in there? What a random thing. What about these boxes and these shoes and just the general clutter in my apartment? Like, if I'm going to be doing a self-tape audition, I'm going to want to clean it up. And so there we have it. That's better. Once your lighting, your camera, your sound, that whole thing is set up, now you're ready to start doing your auditions. And here's something that I really want to stress and emphasize. You are in control. Okay? So if you're going to upload a video file, you have the ability to control how many takes you get, how it starts, things of that nature. So a couple things I want to highlight. Keep your slate short and simple. Hi, my name is Jesse, and I'll be reading for the role of Todd. They've essentially taken your video file and put it in a folder with a bunch of other people reading for the exact same role. So they don't need like a whole big spiel about who you are and whatever. Sometimes you'll need to slate who you're represented by, but also try to keep that short and sweet, right? Also, you control the very first frame that they see, right? And what you don't want the first frame to see is this, where you're like getting your camera going. Or even a nice shot of your chest. So once you've recorded, edit your thing so that this is the first thing they see. Your face, right? That's what they want to see. That's what you want to be leading off. Now, just like every good audition, you want to start in character so that you're sort of there, ready to go. So the very first thing, which also, by the way, is usually the thumbnail for the file. So if they have their computer set up and they're looking at all these files, you want the actual thumbnail, the icon, the logo that represents your audition to be the first thing that you would want them to see. It's bright, it's got personality, and you're right there with it. So you control your first frame, you control your slate, and then you should control how the video ends. And again, you don't want it being this like reaching for the camera, right? Shutting the thing off. You have the ability, even in your phone, to go in and scroll back the ending and the beginning of your video file so that you don't have any weird starts or any weird stops. So you don't have, or ending frames. So that's it. Now you know everything that you need to do a good self-tape audition, technically speaking. I hope this was helpful. I'm Jesse, and this was Between Classes.